Good morning, good people. How are you doing? I'm Jerome Paul Sonko in here, and we are back with our topic of discussion. It's Monday, 10th October 2022, and yes, still in the Independence Day week fever. But besides that, if you're to look at the situations to do with investing your money, Zabo is there for you. With Zabo, you can invest your money with a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings. For the MTN subscribers, the USSD code is *292# and you get going with the registration. Registration needs your NIN and then more details as the terms and conditions obviously have to apply. Zabo says, my money, my future. So invest in bonds and securities with Zabo, powered by Alltex East Africa. The markets do open at 8:15 a.m. on a daily and close at 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. So make your money count. Don't just save the money, but save that money for investment. And speaking of investment, this morning our topic of discussion takes us to investment in Africa and investment in Uganda. How best can we unlock these opportunities for the key players in there? Of course, there are quite a number of chances and opportunities that arise in the investment space of Africans and of course for the Ugandan people, from the local traders down to the private sector players and the big players as well in the industry. To discuss more of this particular one, I do have Professor Robina K. Nanyunja, who is the president of Pilot International, and she is also the president and host of the upcoming Trans-Africa Investment Summit that will be taking place this month of October. Many thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
All right. With the concluding Uganda Manufacturers Association International Expo, there are lots of experiences that most of the traders have faced, that have actually experienced, and they believe it also creates room for a lot of investment opportunities. But besides that, let's get to understand the investment opportunities that Uganda as a country has.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. Well, I think we have to look at the backbone of Uganda, which is basically agriculture. I think there are many opportunities there, right from the farming level, right from the farm, the value addition, the tonnage of whether of consumption or export. We still need lots of food. Actually, we have to have, as Ugandans, balanced diet. We have to eat a variety of food. And besides that, also there is need really to export the agricultural products. There is room, very big potential, not only in the region but across Africa and globally. So that is just part of the story, and that is basically one sector. But there are many sectors, many economic sectors. You can even look at the infrastructure, the factories, the roads, the transport systems. You can just also look at how we live and how we conduct business. I think currently digital solutions, the current and also the future, there is a lot of unexploited opportunities within the digital space, within the virtual space. You know very well that during the COVID pandemic, in the middle of it, people were locked up into their homes, but some kind of business was able to go ahead in, however challenging it was. And that also gave us an experience that in Uganda, also Africa, we need to tap into that aspect as well.
Okay, and you've mentioned that we have quite a lot of opportunities that are available, or a lot of spaces that we as Ugandans should tap in. But in the narrative of the Ugandan space, we've got to realize that sometimes we feel more attached to the fact that when someone mentions the word investor, our minds quickly run to foreigners, because the entire world still believes that for one to stand as an investor, you're either supposed to be a white man not in the context of any racial situation here, but you're either supposed to come from abroad or be Kenya, Tanzania, but when you look at the local investors that we have here, they're making tremendous moves. What is the best way we can do, we can use, or what are the best terms we can use to at least change this mindset of Ugandans that also our local people can become investors in here or are already investors?
No, I think it begins from the actors themselves.
Okay.
Let me call them the local investors. They have to know that they are investors themselves, because the fact that you happen to incubate an idea, even me, I'm an investor, I'm a Ugandan and I'm an investor. You incubate an idea, whether you register a company or you move it in one way or the other, you inject in some capital, however little, you put in time, you put in expertise, you put in your heart and your passion. All that is investment. So I have to say that Ugandans, whatever you're doing, be it a kiosk, be it selling phones, be it you are an investor. So the people here are investors, and how best do we support these investors to believe in themselves, and also to identify platforms where they can promote their ideas and their innovations. And exactly that's the reason why I and my team put up this Trans-Africa Investment Summit with a basis in Uganda, although it has happened also elsewhere. To give a platform to Ugandan investors, to Ugandan business community, the leaders, to showcase themselves to the outside world, to other African countries, because in Africa we are one continent, even in Uganda we are one continent, but we are far apart each other, and all the time we're looking at foreigners, I would say those outside Africa, as the people having solutions, as the people who know how to do things. But if we could unite Africa, and that's the basis of the Trans-Africa Investment Summit, to provide a platform to bring all these investors, SMEs, together so that they can identify various opportunities. They can learn how others are doing their businesses and how they are expanding, because before you do anything, you have to have confidence in yourself. You have to learn and say this, I can also do this if the other one in Kenya or in Mbarara or Gulu managed to do this, I can also do it. So that is the motivation that we are bringing on board. And I would like to invite everyone, all the investors in Uganda, small scale, who are the majority actually, even the summit, SMEs, to come on board and showcase and speak and exhibit what they are doing, and connect and identify new opportunities and expand their connections.
Professor, talking about Africa and the mere fact that we are on the same space or in the same market ground for all the entire 55 African countries, if we are to look at the African Continental Free Trade Area, of which most of the sector players from the private sector down to those in the SME sector, and all of them are looking at the AFCFTA as the biggest opportunity to continue trading across the borders. How best can we tap into these opportunities, us as the Ugandans?
Yeah, it's a good question, because for me, most times I'm talking from experiences, my own, or those that I've seen happening in people's lives. I'll begin with myself. Even in this summit, people are coming from, we are 55 countries, right, in Africa, and we have about 30 countries, more than half of African countries have subscribed to this summit, the Trans-Africa Investment Summit. But there is one major challenge, which is the visa. Okay. Even they're asking me questions as if I'm government anyway, that why do we come to Uganda and we require visas?
Okay.
You know, people, of course there are countries that are visa free, like Zambia, Zimbabwe, and you know, those ones in the ESC region, but many of them still require visas, and you know, the applications of course take time because there are aspects of public holidays or maybe civil servants not being in office and that kind of thing.
Okay.
So much as we are looking at the free trade aspect,
okay,
there are still a couple of hindrances in the movements. There are still restrictions
okay,
of the visa as the first thing, because you have to move. How do you move? Now, besides that, also you go into the currency things, that we have different currencies. But before then, at least let people be able to freely move across Africa to do business, because even then I know some people will be late for their visas, or there are issues here and there. So in order for all this dream to happen, really the movement itself, okay, if someone is Africa and is a citizen of Africa, it should be lifted, and I hope the sooner the better. I don't know how far they've gone, because that's another chapter, but the sooner the better, to remove all these restrictions and hindrances and burdens that really affect the trade. Yes, some of us and some of people are able to beat these odds,
okay,
and you know, go across borders and do something here and there. But we want to make it easier for majority of the people, for all the people. Yeah.
Okay. With the mere fact that some of you have beating these odds and crossing the borders to do business away from Uganda, how easy is it, and how hard has it been to do business away from your motherland?
Of course, maybe how good also. Let me
okay.
let me start with
the good part.
With the how good.
Okay.
The good part. Yeah, it's good, because out there are lots of opportunities. You will never exhaust. There is a lot of learning, and yes, you say, if I've seen this in maybe Netherlands, in France, I've seen this in Tunisia, in Morocco. This is something I can do in my home. I mean, it opens you up to opportunities. It connects you to people with different ideas and capacities, and also opportunities. Of course, now I think I can go to the challenges, the hurdles. The major problem also is the lack of digitalization, especially the payment systems in Africa and also in Uganda. They are still a big hindrance to really business. Because people, these things of mobile money or bank transfer, go to your bank and, you know, make a transfer, fill in papers, it takes 3 days, then there is traffic jam. People want to do things, you know, right from their office, right from home.
Okay. All right. And of course, if you're just joining in, we are discussing investment in Uganda and Africa, and looking at unlocking opportunities for the African traders, African investment, and of course, those who are coming in from there. Meanwhile, after the break, we have more discussions to do with investment and how West Africa and Uganda can open up this space for both local and foreign investors. Stick around.